the internet's going in terms of entrepreneurial artists trying to get their work out there, trying to build a following? Where do you think this is all going? Like in terms of like, if you like, where are you trying to be ahead of the curve right now?
Well, I don't know, because it seems like with stand-up comedy, it's like, it seems like crowd work is the way to go right now. And I think that it's the way to go for people because you don't burn your material. But I also get a fair amount of comments from people, random people going, thank you for always posting bits and not posting crowd work. Thank you. And I do post a little bit of it, but I'm never intentionally doing crowd work. But I do film all my sets. So if a little something happens, I'll go, ooh, that's cool. I'll try to cut that up as a clip. But, it's hard to just keep posting bits of written material, because oftentimes it's like, I don't want to give away my best stuff because I'm trying to make specials. So, but I think the crowd work thing, I do think it's changing. I think people are not wanting that on the internet. I think they will always like it live, but I think they're not wanting it on the internet so much. So I don't know where it's going, but I just think people are going to have to start working harder to write more jokes. And because it's like, it's too easy for people to, like somebody sent me something the other day. It was like a time joke that these guys were doing. And it was like my joke. I don't think they stole it from me, but it's like my joke, where I talk about, I don't know why we keep track of time the way we do sometimes. That joke of the 5 o'clock somewhere joke. And it's like, it's too easy for people to not have to do stand-up comedy. They can figure out how to take these bits and ideas and make them some kind of online sketch.
Or they can just lift your joke and then turn it into a meme.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can repurpose jokes, you can repurpose ideas, you can, add a picture and just kind of make it a little bit more powerful than your joke in a stand-up. I think so much stuff is getting lifted now. Yeah. So much stuff.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, it's like the meme stuff like that, it's like, it is so hack. It's like, you really hate to see it because, it's like people work hard to get up in front of people and tell these jokes, and then these people just make memes and it gets more likes and more laughs. And even people will do it with my videos sometimes. They'll take a stand-up video and they lip sync it basically. And it's always fun, and I always enjoy it, and they usually tag me when they do it, so they're not just trying to steal it. But you'll go through and read the comments, and people will be commenting saying, to the person lip syncing my joke, they'll be going, oh, you're so funny. Oh, you're so funny. Ha, 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 you're so funny. And it's like, well, they're just lip syncing something that I created. Mm-hmm. So why are you giving them the credit for being so funny?
I don't think that there's any, original thought anymore. If we're all living on our phones now, it's hard to even keep track of, was this my original thought, or is this something I heard on a podcast, or I heard on a clip, or a meme that I watched at 3 a.m.? It's so hard to be precious about original thought. I mean, truly. And especially since there's so many comedians now, there's going to be some lateral thinking out here. There's going to be people that have the same joke, similar joke on a whatever subject.
And it's like, what's so annoying is when now it's become so prevalent for people to try to call out somebody for stealing something, that if a joke is even similar, the comedy police are ready to come out and go, oh, you stole this from. It's like, I had this joke where I go, and I did the joke one weekend, and then I thought, this is really kind of it's funny, it's getting a laugh, but it's kind of cheesy. I'm not going to keep doing it, so I'll just post it. And it was me saying something like, I asked my friend, did he want to get tacos? And he was like, oh, no, I had Mexican yesterday. And I'm like, well, good thing you don't live in Mexico, right? Basically you can't eat Mexican food 2 days in a row, that kind of joke. And I thought, well, this is getting a laugh, but this is not a great joke. I'm just going to post it. And people started saying that I stole that from this other guy. And then eventually somebody tagged him in there. So I went and found it, and I eventually found his video. And I was like, yeah, I can see how these are similar. But he said, his joke was basically like, my friend wanted to get Chinese food. Or I said, I wanted to get Chinese food with my friend. And he was like, I just had it yesterday. I can't have Chinese food 2 days in a row. And he's like, well, good thing you don't live in China. And it's like, yeah, it's a very generic idea.
Yeah, I remember you were like on the road when you went out for Mexican with this guy, or you went out for food with this guy, and he said this, and you had this interaction that created this joke. Like, I remember you telling it to me because you were, you had this sudden inspiration of this joke or this idea. And then you shared it with me, and then I guess I just assumed you were doing it or not doing it online, and then whatever. And then a little while later, you told me that this guy had, or these people were saying that you took it. But, people do honestly come by the same ideas. That's what really seems to. And then so what? Because someone put it out first, you're not supposed to do it? Or what if you just don't know that he's already put it out, which was this case with you?
Well, that's what's so annoying, though, is it's just like people, like when they say you stole something, it's like, why don't you ask yourself, is this some great joke idea? Is this some highly intelligent, original premise? Or is this kind of just a basic thing that anybody could come across? And that's my point, is it's like, all right, if this was some long, drawn-out bit where you could point to different places and go, see, this is the exact same line here, and then this is, then it's like, all right, yeah, that's probably was lifted. But when we're talking about a generic food, it's like, to me, it's the most basic of things. America seems like one of these unique places where we don't necessarily have American food, right? I guess a hamburger, a steak, or whatever, hot dogs could be considered American food. But even that, I don't think we call it American food, right? But we have all the food. We have the Italian food, the Mexican food, the French food. I mean, we have everything here. So it's like we have these vast choices to be able to go, and we could get, Vietnamese food today and Thai food tomorrow and Mexican food. But if you lived in Mexico, I'm sure there's a wide variety of food, but it's all Mexican food, right? So that's my point, and I just think that's the idea. And it's like, but I went and followed this guy, and I tried to message him because I was just going to talk to him about the joke and say, hey, I'm not, because he had put it on a special, some sort of special. I forget his name. He's some piano guy. And also, that's another thing that kind of annoys me. Now, I have some friends that do it, so I'm not saying don't do it. But when people will pull out a guitar or the piano or some kind of musical instrument and just rattle off a bunch of quick one-liner jokes, it's like you're essentially eating up a bunch of premises. Like Mitch Hedberg did this too. It's like he's got all these one-liners, and they're all premises that could be hashed out and made longer bits. But now that someone famous like Mitch Hedberg has made this a joke, like it feels like no comedian will ever be able to make escalator jokes, or else you'll be at risk of saying you're ripping off Mitch Hedberg. But is there more to joke about with an escalator being broke than it just becoming stairs? I think there is, but now it feels like it's off limits. If I do a joke about escalators, people are going to go like, oh, I liked it better when Mitch Hedberg did it.
Yeah, and there's not that same judgment on musicians. I mean, there is millions of love songs.
Yes.
There are millions of heartbreak songs.
Yes.
There are millions of party anthems. And within each genre, there's the same old themes being rehashed. If you're in country, well, there's beer or whiskey involved. There's maybe a gun. There's maybe some dirt and a truck. I mean, You know, it's all being rehashed.
Especially new country. You can guarantee there's going to be beer, a truck, some dirt.
I know. I think if everybody just stepped back and just kind of accepted that, like, it's all out here, you know, we're all humans working within the same parameters. Now, you know, you could argue with Mitch Hedberg, maybe that's the sign of his genius, that it does make other comics feel like you can't touch it because he did it so well and his style was so unique that it can't be touched anymore. But at the same time, it's like, well, who says it can't be touched? Why? Why don't you just do it? Stop me.
Like, I forget who's the guy. He was Louis, fat guy, comic, Louis Anderson. I had some joke out there that I put on the internet. Usually when I'll post some of these jokes, it's like, all right, I've been doing the joke for a while, but I'm probably not going to put it on any kind of special, but I like it, so I'm going to put it out on the internet. And I put some joke out, and somebody was like, this guy stole this from Louis Anderson. And I'm like, do you really think I'm stealing from Louis Anderson? At this point, who is even the fans of Louis Anderson stand-up comedy? I get that he was great at one point, but I don't know anybody that lists Louis Anderson as a favorite of theirs when you ask them who their favorite comics are. And it's just so silly. It's like, all right, I think the joke was about being late for work and how if I call in to my job and say, hey, I'm going to be a little bit late, now suddenly I'm relaxed. Suddenly I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'll take that coffee for here. They know I'm going to be late, so I'll have the coffee here. And that's the point. But also sometimes with a premise, it's like you say about Mitch Hedberg, can you make this premise your own original spin? Can you make this so original that it's your take? And it's like when people will talk about my blackout jokes and say I stole it from Amy Schumer or I stole it from John Mulaney. I've gone back and I've listened to their jokes, and our jokes are nothing alike. The only thing that our jokes have in common is that we drank until we blacked out and did something stupid. That's it. Other than that, the jokes have nothing in common. And it's like, okay, so either I stole the idea of blacking out from John Mulaney, or I also drank until I blacked out and did something stupid.
And you did.
Many times.
You did.
I bet I blacked out more than John Mulaney did. I'm not saying I did harder drugs than he did. I bet he did harder drugs than me. But strictly alcohol, I bet it would be tough to find someone that blacked out more than me. I mean, I blacked out. I was doing it weekly, multiple times a week sometimes.
That's shocking and disturbing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I blacked out maybe 4 or 5 times in my life, and every time I wondered if someone had done something to me.
Well, I would imagine it's different to be blacking out as a woman than it is a man.
Yeah.
I mean, I wondered if I had just hurt someone's feelings or said awful things, and, you know, I did a lot of times.
Yeah.
But I never really had the fear that someone did something to me, or even that I did something to someone other than, you know, hurt their feelings.